Hello, and welcome back, most illustrious members of the Detail. I'm your host D, also known as MTF Doom, and today we're going to talk about my top 3 picks for my day 1 decks for High Evolutionary coming out later today. I hope you enjoy. If you haven't seen High Evolutionary, I don't know how he's getting a lot of hype, possibly overhyped even regarding a pre-release nerf. He was a 4/7 when we first saw him and started fan personing over him, but he's down to a 4/4, which I think is much more reasonable. What he does is at the start of the game, unlock the potential of your cards with no abilities. Now what that means is that if you have what you might call a vanilla card, there's 7 of them, they just don't have abilities. They're the cards which naturally get buffed by Patriot. They'll now have abilities, okay? So this doesn't include squirrels made by Squirrel Girl. It doesn't include rocks. It must be cards that started in your deck and which had no abilities. So Brood does not have Broodlings, which now have abilities. I think you understand, but I want to make that clear. This and it does not stack with Patriot, because Patriot must have a card that has like a clean text box, and these cards will no longer have that. So all that being said, what are these effects? We're gonna scroll down here, and these are the 7 cards aforementioned. They are 0 to 6. Each energy has 1 card associated with it. The 0 cost, Wasp. The new effect will be a 0/1. On reveal, afflict 2 random enemy cards here with -1 power. Misty Knight, 1/2. If you end your turn with unspent energy, give another friendly card +1 power. That doesn't have to be in the same location, and it does not scale upward. So Sunspot gets 1 power per energy that you don't spend. Misty Knight gives 1 power in a binary fashion. Either she gives 1 power to something or she does not. It doesn't matter if you float 5 energy because you're going for an Infinite. Fucking spoilers for one of the deck lists. She will only ever give +1 power. Shocker, 2/3. On reveal, give the leftmost card in your hand -1 cost. We got Cyclops at a 3/4. When you end a turn with unspent energy, afflict 2 random enemies here with -1 power. Same as Misty Knight. This must be said. This will only happen once at the end of a turn. So he either gives 2 random enemies -1 power, or he does not. He doesn't give -10 if you float 5 energy. The Thing, I guess we'll scroll a little bit. The Thing, on reveal, afflict a random enemy card here with -1 power. Repeat this twice more. I talked about how awkward this wording was when this card was first spoiled, but it's for a reason. So the point is, Wasp must have 2 targets to give -2 power. If your opponent only has 1 card here, she will afflict that card and only that card with -1 power. The Thing will afflict it with -3. So it can hit the same target multiple times, is what that means. But it's worded very strangely. Like, it does make perfect sense, but it is worded kind of odd. So it can hit 1 card 3 times, or it can hit 3 cards 1 time each, or anything in between, any combination. Also note, it is random, so just because they have 3 cards does not guarantee that you will get 3 hits, and that is important for the next card. Abomination, 5/9, costs 1 less for each enemy card in play, not in hand for Scorpion reasons, that's afflicted with negative power. Spoilers, I think this is the best one. I think this is the best card. I think this is what gives the deck an actual win con, but let's go over to Hulk. 6/12, ongoing, +2 power for each turn you ended with unspent energy, so that's obviously retroactive. You don't need him in hand. And he can, this is cool because Hulk can now actually be the biggest card by absorbing like gamma rays or whatever energy represents. So broadly speaking, you can kind of see these effects fall into one of two categories: either a hazmat or hazmat adjacent type of effect, or a sunspot or sunspot adjacent type effect, right? So we've got Hulk, Shocker, and Misty Knight as the sort of sunspot adjacent, right? You want to end with power. This lets you use less power. Energy, sorry. End with energy unspent. Cyclops toes the line of both. You want unspent energy, but you also get -1, give -1 power to things. And then these are just the -1 powers payoffs. So we've got like 3 that care discreetly about minus power, 3 that care about unspent energy, and 1 that kind of does both. So that's cool. That's actually genuinely a very cool design. And, you know, for as much as I kind of give Marvel shit a lot of the time, this is not it. This is cool. So we're going to get into the decks. Hold tight for a quick cut. Hey, Editor D here. Just wanted to drop this in. It's a good thing I delayed releasing this video because they delayed releasing High Evolutionary. So it says we're aware, the team is working it and we'll update you as we have more information. I guess he just didn't show up in the shop and you can't get him from collector's caches. That's a weird issue. I don't know if that's the issue or if that he's bugged and they're like framing it as something different. It's all very strange to me. There hasn't been any other update in Discord, which is the only way that I follow the news on this fucking game. But a bunch of people have been like postulating that he should probably be out. Like, what was it? Kitty Pryde, it took them like basically 1 full day to patch her out. So they're thinking that because it'll require an update, it might require 1 full day. So hopefully, basically you're going to hear me say he should be out later today. And it turns out that that's true, but not for the reason that I thought is basically what I'm getting at. Everything else in this video is still accurate. I don't want to stir up drama. I don't think this is the end of Marvel Snap or whatever. I think it's a really bad look. Especially coming right off the back of finally releasing Kitty Pryde, and this is like one of their most hyped cards, but I think everyone has that take. Fucking people need to stop catastrophizing everything that happens. Looking at you, other Marvel Snap creators. And then, yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. We'll get back into it now. Thank you so much. Join the Discord, because I think I forgot to do that in both the intro and in the video proper. Okay, bye. Like and subscribe, because I forgot to say that at the intro. So here's the 3 decks. We're gonna go in reverse order of how much I want to play them, and only one of them has a setup with a card back and an avatar, so you know which one is going to win. Okay, so we've got Sunspots side of the family is what I call this one. It's the ones that want to have unspent energy. So you've got stuff. We're going to run Cyclops, Misty Knight, Shocker, and Hulk. We are also going to run Wasp, I think, in all 3 decks, because I think it's free in a big way, right? She becomes a 0/3 because you're mostly going to play her on the last turn, and she's mostly, like, above rate. She doesn't even get hit by Killmonger. She does take up a spot. So, like, if you're going to fill all 12 spots of your side of the board and not be able to play her, she has some opportunity cost to being in your deck. But other than that, she's just very above rate with High Evo, and I really like her, and I think her and Abomination are the best ones, so the deck that can play both efficiently is going to be the best deck, but we'll see. That's just me trying to read this ahead of time. So we're playing Wasp. Obviously, we're playing Sunspot. If you're playing Sunspot... Oh, wait, I cut Infinite. That's right, because I was like, Hulk is just better a lot of the time. He's gonna be... So the thing is, Infinite is, like, the biggest card. Infinite, if you don't know, because I try to tune my content to be new user-friendly. Infinite is... Oh, I was trying to round the deck out. Infinite is a 620... So exceptional stat line, the biggest card in the game. But if you played a card last turn, you can't play this. So in general, Infinite and Sunspot go together like peanut butter and salami, just two great things that taste great together. But the point is, Infinite kind of beats everything, but Hulk is going to do the same thing in this deck because you'll have absorbed. It only takes 2 turns of Hulk hitting, quote unquote hitting, to tie an Orca, which is the next best thing. Like, Orca with nothing else in the lane is the next biggest thing you can do behind Infinite. And so Hulk is almost always going to hit that threshold and not have any kind of restrictions on him in a deck like this. So you don't think about, like, the numbers are important, but what the numbers represent are also important. It's why there's such a big difference between a 2/2 and a 2/3. It's because, like, a 2/2 forces you to commit another card to beat a 1-drop, to beat most 1-drops, whereas a 2/3 does not. So Hulk is the same thing. It's like, if you're in a position where you think your opponent can just do a big 6-drop thing and you can also just do a big 6-drop thing, you'll win, because Hulk will be bigger than theirs, barring them being able to do Infinite stuff. So that's why we don't have Infinite, but don't quote me on that being the end-all be-all. You're going to notice another thing about these decks is that Luke Cage is going to be really important in the coming meta for my money. I think a lot of people, myself included, who are very casually, like, casual spenders, like free to play to, like, very, very low spenders, have just hoarded their tokens for high Evo, and I think he's gonna see a really big market share, especially because he's a big bad. So there's not a downside to buying him, right? Like, it can feel bad to buy, like, Iron Lad because it wasn't really worth it, and it wasn't really worth it. But buying High Evo is not going to feel bad because, like, yeah, he's going to be 6,000 fucking tokens forever. Just buy him now if you can. All that being said, because half of his strategy is based on things afflicting with minus power, Luke Cage is going to just be an all-star in this meta. The other thing is that because we're so invested in Luke Cage being good, we're going to play Rogue as well to steal their Luke Cage effect some of the time, or their Hulk effect. I don't think Hulk is going to see that much play, just so we're clear, but Rogue is a real gotcha card that a lot of people overlook. And the reason we're playing Rogue and not Enchantress is very simply that Rogue costs 1 less, and therefore we can weave her into a turn where we might float energy because she's a 3 and not a 4. I don't know how big a deal that's going to be. This might end up becoming Enchantress. Like I said, we only really need, like, 2 turns of hulking out and absorbing before we're happy with it. So we'll see. The other thing is, like, if we want to go for a big turn where we just absorb a bunch of energy, obviously She-Hulk is great. If we want an extra turn to absorb some energy and get extra value out of especially our Cyclops, but also Sunspot and Misty Knight, we are going to have Magic in the mix. It gives us a turn 7, so it lets us full float on 6, and then on 7 we can play She-Hulk plus Hulk, as we call him. This should really be Guy Hulk, and this should just be Hulk. I don't know why they labeled them in this weird way. That's very backwards to how most people think of these two. I'm going to keep doing that joke. Oh, and then Crystal is High Evolution. I didn't say that at the beginning, but, you know, because she's a 4/4 and I have this cool Dan Hip variant, and Crystal's fucking terrible, so this is the only time I even get to show it off. Yeah, this is, like, a fairly straightforward deck. It has a lot going on that can be really interesting. It's heavy on 1s and 2s because it's always, normally not having any 4s or having, like, just a really bad kind of vanilla 4/4 is not great, but it matters kind of less in this deck. We just want to weave together small turns of advantage to see what we can pull out of it, but I think this might end up being the weakest of the 3 that I'm going to showcase, but I wanted to present it because I think a lot of people really like Sunspot Infinite, and I understand why. Like, it's a really cool deck, but I don't think High Evo is going to be the card that makes this deck viable. Okay, so that's Sunspot side of the family. Then we've got Zabu's side of the family, which is basically going all in on the fact that we're going to be playing some pretty good 4s. The thing is going to turn into one of the better 4s. It becomes a 4/9, which isn't the best. You know, worth of vanilla stats with no hoops to jump through a 4/9 is fine. We're trying to Iron Lad into kind of anything. We have two bad hits, and everything else is fine to good. The bad hits being High Evo itself and Abomination, because it won't matter because it'll already be on the field. Everything else is pretty good. And then we're capitalizing obviously on Zabu to just start going in on the 4s early. That being, again, so if we assume that Luke Cage is going to be important to the meta, we have Super Skrull, who will also sometimes copy the Hulk bonus if they play an opposing Hulk. And obviously, like, just you get some random games where an opponent plays an Iron Man or a Darkhawk or a Dino or whatever, and your Super Skrull suddenly has like massive amounts of value to you, and those games are really feel good moments. There's an opportunity cost to including Super Skrull, so I wouldn't in a lot of situations, but I think that it is safe because of how the meta, I foresee the meta shaking out to include cards that have higher than normal opportunity costs, at least right now. That's part of what playing into the meta entails, is making those types of calls and being brave enough little soldiers to do so, okay? And I believe in you. I believe in you. You're a brave little guy, okay? You could do this. You could play an opportunity cost card. Other than that, because we do have Luke Cage, we're going to capitalize on that through Typhoid Mary. Just a good combo if you've never seen it before. Typhoid Mary, normally all your cards have -1 power, but Luke Cage, they can't be reduced, so it doesn't affect them. Just solid stuff. We're going for a tempo hazmat play some of the time. Same with Wasp. Just so that our Abomination can be part of a turn 6. Like, in a sort of like magical Christmas land type of world, our turn 6 is something like an Enchantress. Oh, another thing. Typhoid Mary can be silenced by Enchantress to catch your opponents off guard. If they think they got you with Luke Cage, with like silencing your Luke Cage, you can get them back by Enchantressing your Typhoid. So yeah, our ideal turn 6 is something to the effect of like an Enchantress, a Typhoid Mary, and like a free Abomination, because we've hit like a couple things with Hazmat, a couple things with Wasp, and a couple things with Thing, and sort of gotten there with -5 somewhere along the way, or Shocker has reduced the cost on one of those, so this would normally cost 1, but we can kind of like weave it in. So that being said, this has more of a, not only more of a gotcha, but more of a game plan in another big way, which is that it has like cards that can win you the game. Hulk and She-Hulk are tough. I think they're tough sells for me, but you also just know how I feel about 6-drops, and I prefer game plans like this that are a little more dynamic, diverse, and offer something like spread out a little bit more, you know, like you can make more informed decisions. If your big payoff is like just playing the biggest 6-drop in the world, it's like, yeah, but you what if your opponent can get ahead in 3 lanes because they're playing more than 1 card, you know? So this is my second favorite. It'll definitely be the one I try second, but here's the one I'm gonna try first. Hazmat's side of the family, to absolutely fucking no one's surprise. Absolutely no one's surprise. Same deal. It's Luke Cage. It's tempo Hazmat, but we're going all in on the -1s. So we're gonna do Scorpion to try to just incrementally force them to play out cards that have -1 power, so that our Abomination should ideally be true free on turn 6. And we're gonna use him as part of like a big flashy turn 6, because you know how I love those. You just know how I love those. The other thing we're going for here is, so Shocker and Wasp, I didn't bring this up until now, but Shocker and Wasp are a really hard sell in decks together some of the time, because Shocker is going to give -1 cost and if to the leftmost card in your hand. So if Wasp gets stuck in that position and you don't have a good lane to play her into, you kind of have to play her for reduced value, or your Shocker doesn't do anything because it's not going to give -1 cost to a 0 cost. But this deck has kind of an out to that, in the form of Beast. So what I learned from playing the Bounce deck is that Hitmonkey is really, really good, but it's even better if you can Beast it back to your hand and reduce its cost by 1. So while Beast does not give us the cost reduction on Wasp, it means that on turn 4, we can go Hitmonkey, play Wasp, just to get her out of that leftmost position, right? Beast both of them back to our hand. Now Hitmonkey has +4 and is only a 1 cost. Wasp is no longer on the left side of your hand, so Shocker on 5 can now actually reduce something's cost. And you're going into turn 6 with, like, you know, a really wide open way of playing out Hitmonkey plus a couple other cards and just having a really interesting turn 6 that can win you games that by rights you might not otherwise win. The other big combos here are Lizard and Enchantress. Enchantress just getting rid of Lizards ongoing is always good. I like what they did with Lizard. It's weird that I've seen him so much less, but I think that's also a function of one of the most popular decks right now being a deck that fills all the lanes all the time. So it's tough being a Lizard right now. But a 2/5 is just good, right? So Enchantress, getting rid of that. Enchantress also is for the opposing Luke Cage, and we have another really funny piece of tech, which is that we can Enchantress on 4, make our opponent think that they are safe to play out their Luke Cage on 4, so that on 5 they can do like their big plays without having to just deploy this dirtily little 2/2 as part of their turn 6. And we can Beast back our Enchantress on 5 to get them wherever they put down their cage on 5. Or just get another shot at it. If they didn't play cage, we can, you know, take priority, give priority back, right? Take back the uninitiative. I don't know how to say that. And silence their Luke Cage on 6, or at least shoot for it. Now, that's not quite so good because it means they can usually play an Abomination real cheap. We're also mostly just thinking about the mirrors. But fundamentally, being able to Enchantress and then Beast, I think is going to be much better than I have given it credit for in the past. I just think your opponent being like, okay, I'm safe to deploy my dinos or my hawk or whatever, and then being like, oh no, this is bad, this is not good, is going to have a lot of value. So those are my 3. What do you think? I for what it's worth, I really like the design space of High Evo. I think that it brings up a lot of interesting questions about what we talked about yesterday as far as opportunity cost, because I don't think that the optimal deck is going to be all 7 High Evo cards plus High Evo, plus 4 other cards like Luke Cage, Hazmat, fucking Enchantress, and Chavez, right? Just like the kind of card, like I think there's gonna be some people playing that deck, but I don't think that's really the optimal way to play. And I appreciate that that's the case. I like that they didn't make each of the cards a beating unto itself, that you actually kind of have to put in some thought into if you want to run all, some, which ones, what packages. They interact in interesting ways. I really like all that. Leave a comment down below if I missed anything, what you're looking forward to playing, if any of these decks seem interesting, you know, or what you'd swap out ultimately. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.